I think West Indies they'll probably win the first one. I think England will come back and probably win the series eventually 2-1.
Okay.
Hello and welcome to a new episode of Silly Point. As you just saw, I predicted this 3 weeks ago that England will win the series 2-1. I predicted each and every game right. So I hope you put money on it. Unfortunately, Gaurav's predictions did not go as planned. Very close, actually. If the rain would have stayed, then maybe he could have been 1-1.
Yeah.
But as you saw, I predicted not just the series outcome, but each and every test match correctly also.
Yes. I'll pass on my 1-1 predictions for the next test series.
Yeah, we'll come to that. We'll come to that in the next episode. So just as we've been doing throughout the test series, we're just going to give our player ratings, and because this is the final test match of the series, we'll just give who we think, in our opinion, the player of the series was from each team.
Sorry, Zad, before we go on to the player ratings, I just have one thing to say. Amazing performance by England. Amazing performance by Stuart Broad, especially being only the fourth pacer to enter the 500 wicket club, and that's an incredible achievement. I know he was dropped from the first test match, and clearly that seemed to have spurred him on. And one point on the West Indies, they played really well. They could have done better than the overall result. I think what has let them down is their decision making, especially at the toss. 2 games in a row at Manchester, they chose to bowl first, and I think that was completely incorrect decision by Holder on both occasions. Then again in the next test match, again he elected to bowl with Gabriel in the team, who had already struggled in the second test. He struggled again in the third test, went off the field as well. So I think just poor decision making there. It could have been better. I'm not saying.
I think it was also a very strange decision to have a spinner in your team, a frontline spinner in Cornwall, and then despite that batting second.
Yeah.
Because if you have a spinner, you want them to bowl in the fourth innings.
Correct.
Having that, I mean, it just seemed, I don't know why. Maybe he just doesn't trust his batsman, which you can see in hindsight probably was the right call. But
I guess
better to be aggressive.
Better. Yeah, always better to be aggressive. And going back to the first test match, I know people complained about Stokes electing to bat first, but I think that was a courageous decision. It was a good, proactive decision. It's just that the batsman didn't follow through.
Yeah.
But I think West Indies would have done better had they.
But if you look at it from the West Indies point of view, they weren't that bad. Even in the second test or in the third test, they had England, 80 for 3 in the first test, 90 for 3 or 4.
90 for 3,
in the second test as well. So it's not like they were bad.
But this is where the point comes in about fatigue and about playing back to back test matches for guys like Gabriel and Roach and Holder as well. So I think poor decision making on West Indies' part in terms of team selections and in terms of decisions at the toss, which eventually led them to losing the Wisden Trophy.
Yeah, no, true. So, well, speaking of West Indies losing, let's move on to our ratings. And let's start with the losing team, the West Indies. Not a lot of good performances, if any, actually, especially in this test match. In batting order, Brathwaite, well, his significance in the test match was that he was Broad's 500th test victim. Unique double for him. He's the only one. He's Anderson and Broad's 500 test victim.
Yes, I know that's a weird coincidence, but I guess that's what he'll be remembered for. In the based on this test series, he hasn't had a good test series. This test match as well, especially in the second innings, he did all the hard work, played 44 balls, got in, but then I think he got a bit of a tough ball. I think the ball kept quite low, but hey, 500 test wicket for Stuart Broad. I think he deserves a 4 for this.
Just nothing in the first innings. A start in the second, so 4 is fine. Probably generous, but Campbell.
Generous because he allowed himself to be Anderson and Broad's 500 test. We'll give him 1 point for that.
Campbell, another poor showing. I mean, he got off to a start in the second innings, couldn't carry on.
In the first, he
Yeah,
got
sorry, in the
down in
first
the second.
innings. In the first innings.
Played quite aggressively actually in the first one.
Yeah. But again, 3, 4.
Three,
I mean,
yeah.
3. Yeah, slightly worse than
I mean,
Brathwaite.
three seems
Yeah.
reasonable.
Then at 3, so Shai batted at 3 in this test match.
Yeah.
I mean, not quite a 0 that we gave him in the previous, but nothing too spectacular. 2 starts.
Yeah.
I think his shot in the second innings was extremely poor.
Yeah, I agree. Given the situation,
So, I mean, 5 at best, but probably a 4 given his.
I'm going to say a 4. I think that his time as a test match batsman for West Indies is up for the time being. He might be asked to go back to their domestic cricket, score some runs, gain some form, and then come back.
Yeah, I think he kind of benefited from the fact that, the likes of Darren Bravo
Yeah.
And Hetmyer were missing from the series. Once
True.
they come back,
Yeah.
I think his spot is probably under question. Brooks will come to him as well, but I think he did slightly better, especially in the previous test match.
Yeah.
So he might save his place in the middle order, but Hope's position definitely under question.
Certainly.
So move on to Brooks. This test match was pretty bad for him. Didn't do anything. So yeah, I mean 3 probably for me.
3. Yeah, 3.
Yeah. Chase promised a lot. Well, more with the ball,
Yes.
not a lot with the bat. I mean, getting run out when you're trying to save a test match.
I agree. That was suicidal in the second innings. I mean, again,
Yeah.
I don't understand West Indies' thought process in the fourth innings. All they had to do was bat out this day, albeit that would be a difficult thing to do against the likes of Anderson and Broad. But all they had to do was that, and they kept playing aggressive shots. Hope got out in that way.
Yeah.
Chase got run out. So I don't know what their thinking was, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I mean, he got a couple of wickets in the first innings. The second innings, I mean, everyone got hammered.
Yeah.
So maybe a 5.
Yeah,
just for his
I'd go
bowling.
with
Yeah.
5 just for his bowling and also for his run out of route in the first innings.
Yeah, that was pretty good. Good
so that
fielding.
was a pretty good piece of fielding. So let's go with 5.
5.
Yes.
Then Blackwood, typical counter attack at the end when it was all lost. A couple of good shots, but then nothing to write home about.
I'm going with the 5.
Yeah, 5. I mean 4. I think 4.
4.
I mean, he didn't do anything.
4.
Yeah,
He didn't do
4.
much. Yeah.
4. Holder. Again, disappointment. I mean, he showed some, stability with the bat in the first innings when they lost wickets.
Yeah.
He had a decent partnership at the end with Darich, but
yeah.
Nothing with exceptional with the ball either. And 5 again, an average.
Yeah, I mean, I was going to say 4 or even 3. I mean, in terms of his bowling, again, economy was great. He batted well in the first innings, but I would cut a point or 2 for his captaincy.
Yeah, fair enough.
So I think we can go with the 4 Holder.
Okay, yeah, 4 for Holder. Maybe 5 as a player, but -1 as captain.
-1 for captaincy. Poor captaincy in terms
4
of decisions. Yeah.
Darich, unlucky, got injured in the second inning, so he didn't keep for most of it. Otherwise, once decent partnership with the bat. Nothing exceptional in with his keeping. Had a couple of buys in the first innings also.
Yeah.
So 5, I think, just
5,
generous 5 average.
5, yeah.
I was surprised no one's hit more than a 5 in the top 7, 8 actually.
Yeah.
Rakeem Cornwall coming back. The highlight of the match was that one catch he took.
Yeah, I think that was.
He also dropped one, but it didn't really matter. I think it was of Ollie Pope, but then Pope got out in the next over.
Yeah, my opinion of him is that he's still quite a handy off spinner.
Yeah.
When he gets it right, I think he bowled quite short in the first innings. He's able to bowl marathon innings, and despite of his physical fitness, which I think is great. I feel like he would have benefited from some more time in the middle.
Yeah,
he seemed to be quite rusty when he came out, so I think that's the only thing that's the only caveat for Cornwall for his poor performance.
Yeah, I think I'd actually, yeah, I'd give him a 3 because okay, he's not supposed to be a batsman, but he opens in the T20 format, so he has some batting prowess,
Yeah,
and he got out playing exactly the same shot across the line
yeah,
to a ball coming in,
yeah,
in both innings. So that in my books is a big negative.
sure.
So I'll give him a 3. Nothing with the ball,
Yeah,
and that 3 only is just because of his one catch,
catch. Yeah,
which also got negated because he dropped one, but it didn't cost the team that much.
yeah.
Um, so then Gabriel,
Mm,
I mean,
enigma.
yeah, he went off injured. He came back really well. I think was it day 2
Yeah,
when they took those
only
early
2 years.
wickets.
Yeah,
Still, he was unlucky. I mean, we got a wicket off a no ball, then a drop catch.
yeah,
But then he still came back and got a few wickets.
yeah,
So for that, I mean, his fitness issues, can you really blame him given that he was selected?
yeah.
We knew before that he was struggling.
Sure.
So I'd give him, just because we've been so harsh on everyone else,
Yeah,
just to give the West Indies some leeway, I think I'll give him a
yeah.
6.
6, fine. I'm good with the 6. Yeah,
And then Kemar Roach, probably the best bowler in the first innings.
yeah,
4 wickets.
yeah.
So I give him a 7.
Yeah. I think let's give him a 7 because he's been, I think for West Indies, he's been the most consistent bowler,
Yeah.
even though he hasn't got the wickets to show for it in terms of the overall series tally. But in this test match, he actually got some luck going his way. He managed to get those wickets. He managed to become the first West Indies bowler after, was it Curtly Ambrose in
Yeah, to take
1994
200.
to get 200 test wickets. So congratulations to him on that big achievement. And I would say that he's still going to be leading the West Indies attack for a few years to come.
Well, definitely their best player in this match, but probably one of their best in the series as well. And we'll come to the series ratings, series performance at the end.
Yeah.
So moving on to England,
Yeah.
happy days.
Mm-hmm.
For once, Rory Burns had a good test match after 2 very average performances. I think a good 50 in the first innings. Didn't carry on, but still, got England off to a start. Held one end together when wickets were falling, and a good 90 in the second innings. And I think I'll give him an 8, and I'll give him one bonus. Well, would have given him a 7, but an 8 because of his selflessness in the second innings. I think.
Yeah, in the second innings. The thing that pleasantly surprised me was that even when England needed quick runs,
yeah,
England were able to send out Burns and Sibley, and they actually played quite well. So I agree.
Yeah, especially in that partnership with Root in the second. I think he played a couple of reverse sweeps and stuff. And obviously, he was on 90 and he still tried to hit for the team. Trying to get quick runs. He got out, missed his 100, but for that, I'd give him an 8.
Yeah, I'm happy with an 8.
Tom Sibley, a duck and a 50, similar to his first test performance. But a useful 50. I mean, that's the key, right? I mean, I think it was England's first 100 partnership in 6-7 years.
Yeah.
Opening partnership.
Opening partnership, yes. I believe the last one might have been in 2015 or 2017. So no, actually, maybe more recent.
It's been a while. It's been a while. It's the first one post Alistair Cook.
Yeah, exactly.
so for but 15 in second innings, so I'll give him a 6 for that.
I think a 6 is fine. Maybe even a 7. I'm happy with the 7 because I'm just looking at the amount of balls he played in the second innings. He played 132 balls, which basically allowed Root to come in and play the way that he did.
Yeah.
Had Sibley got out, playing 20, 30 balls.
But he got a first over duck in the first inning, so we need to account for that.
Yeah, I mean, okay, 6 is fine.
6. Joe Root, great second innings. I think the tempo with which he played. Great for for what the situation was.
Yeah.
Silly run out in the first innings.
Yeah.
And for that, I guess we need to cut some points. But I'd give him a 7.
I think a 7. Yeah, I think a 7 is reasonable. I would have also gone with a 6 from a batting performance, but I think from a captaincy performance, you can give him an extra point. He went with a more aggressive option in this test match, picked 5 bowlers. I always like having 5 bowlers in a test match team. If you
Yeah.
have 2 or 3 batsmen who can bat, which they did clearly. Vokes, I know he struggled recently with the bat, but he still
Yeah.
has the ability. And maybe we can start classing Stuart Broad as a bowling all-rounder now after
Back
his after
again.
his innings. Yeah, you can class him back, reclass him again.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I think for his captaincy, I'd like to give him points. So 7 is good.
7 is fine. Yeah. Ben Stokes, surprise, surprise, a poor test match. But we knew he wasn't going to bowl, so it was just as a batsman.
Yeah,
He didn't
just as
get
a
a chance to
batsman.
bat.
Yeah,
And I think he dropped a catch as well in the first innings.
yeah,
I got a start with the bat.
yeah.
So by his standards, his very high standards, I'd give him a 4.
4's fine. I guess the reason that Root was encouraged to pick a 5-man attack is because Stokes
Yeah.
couldn't bowl. But I think that works. That helped, right?
And
Push.
also after his performance as a batsman in
Yeah,
the second test, I
exactly.
think he had more confidence to have him at 4.
Have him at 4.
So, I mean, yeah, maybe you can argue some leeway given that he was batting in a new position, but
Yeah.
still,
Four's fine.
could
Four's fine.
yeah,
Actually, sorry, I just thought of another thing for Root. Very courageous decision to bat up the order. He struggles when he
yeah,
bats at 3. So again, for the team, for the benefit of the team, he was okay to push
yeah.
himself up to number 3. So 8, if you want, if you're okay with
No,
8,
let's
not
give it
7.
7. I think getting run out on day 1,
Was an issue. Yeah, of course.
um, especially when you're a captain. Anyway, so it's a 7 for Root, 4 for Stokes.
Pope.
Ollie Pope promised a lot in the series. Finally, it came came good, but unlucky to miss out on 100. A very crucial 91, especially when England were 120 for 4.
Yeah.
A good partnership with Butler, and for that, I'd give him an 8.
Yeah. 8 sounds fine. 8
Yeah.
sounds fine. Given that he paced his innings very well.
Yeah.
He had not scored many runs and played
Yeah.
quite a lot of balls, and then he was able to accelerate. So for that,
Yeah.
give him an 8.
Yeah, and we'll come to this. Moving on to Butler.
Yeah.
Similar, I think, a crucial innings, very un-Butler-like 50 in the first innings.
Strike rate of less than 50.
Yeah, which I mean
that's
is
unheard of for Butler.
exactly right, and that was needed, and that was required,
Yeah,
and he did that, and he stuck in there. And I'd give him a 7, I guess.
7.
And on both Pope and Butler, and why I'm not giving them 9s and 8s. Well, Pope getting 8 but not 9, because of the timing of their dismissals and what we saw happened after that. Because they were 250 for 4 and then 280 for 8.
Yeah.
And that can happen, right? If you lose early wickets in quick succession on a new day. If that Broad innings hadn't happened, which I don't think many of us expected, England could have been folded for under 300, right?
Under 300 for sure.
And that would have changed the whole complexion of the game.
Yeah.
So just for that, I would cut 1 point each for them. So 8 and 7 for Pope and Butler.
Sounds good.
Yeah.
Vokes
5 for in the second innings. I think the batsman has kind of disappeared. He's had a poor run with the bat, but that's not his prime job. Decent with the second innings.
Yeah.
I think moving forward, he was the one whose place was probably in question if England go with 4 bowlers.
Yeah.
But he's more than stood up to the challenge, and I give him an 8 because he's taken a 5-4.
I think 8 sounds reasonable. One thing on Vokes is that he's an amazing bowler at home.
Yeah.
He's taken his wickets at a much better average than Broad and Anderson at home. I think he averages something like 22 at home. So he seems to be, I would have him in my team in England all the time. Even sometimes over Archer. That would be my, that would be the way I'd go. You could pick a team horses for courses.
Yeah.
When they're in Australia, don't pick Vokes. You could pick Archer and Wood, but when you're in England, pick Vokes and Sam Curran.
Yeah, I mean that's a good debate. I think that and heading into the Pakistan series, that might be a debate that selectors might need to have.
Yeah.
I'm not sure they can go with 5 bowlers and 1 batsman light against Pakistan, but let's see. So yeah, in 8 for Vokes.
Yeah.
Archer, a disappointing test match.
Yeah.
Surprisingly, I don't know whether it was just what happened in the previous match playing on his mind or something. He just wasn't up to it. He took one good wicket. I can't remember who it was. It was a good short delivery to break a partnership. I think it was Hope or Campbell.
It was
Campbell in the first innings, but that was really it. Nothing in the second innings either. So I'd give him a 4.
4, yeah.
For his standards, I think. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, when you have 4 pace bowlers, there's one bound to not perform. So
not perform. That always happens.
The fact that England still got West Indies out for under 200 in both innings, despite Archer getting a 4, shows how lethal the rest of them were.
Yep.
Stuart Broad.
I would say I would give him 10.
And
if we're allowed to, give him 1 bonus point for becoming only the fourth. Only the fourth pacer to get more than 500 wickets. So 11.
And probably the last.
Never know. Never say never. Well, but it seems unlikely that it seems unlikely that with players now playing multiple formats, you'll ever have people that last this long. He's played 140 Test matches. Unheard of.
But congratulations. So 10 plus 1. I mean, especially 10 wickets, a quick 50 at the end. So everything went right for him.
As spectacular as Ben Stokes in the second Test match. Maybe even better because he's only played 2 Test matches out of 3, and he was really pissed off after the first one. So clearly he used his anger in a good constructive way, and that's what
no doubt
everyone out there watching to do.
Great innings. So let's give him a 10 plus 1, 11. Anderson, consistent, nothing extraordinary.
He did well. The one thing I'll point out with Anderson is his economy in the first innings was 1.75. Which is incredible. He kept things really tight, which obviously helped Broad, to get those 6 wickets in the first innings. And again, in the second innings, 2.25 again helped the other bowlers to share the wickets. So, for that economy, he didn't get. He got 2 wickets in the whole match.
But we got 2 top order wickets in the first innings, so that's good. I mean, 7. 7's fine. I think he did his job.
Certainly.
So that's.
We're missing one player. I think we're missing.
Oh, Dombes.
He didn't bowl.
He didn't do anything. He didn't bowl. He actually batted in the first innings.
Yeah, and he played 55 balls, which is pretty good.
Yeah. And I think he was the one who got the run out of Chase.
Yes, he did.
So for that, though can't really say much about his bowling. I'd give him a 6 or 7.
6 is fine. I can't do much. He didn't get
can't do much.
Thanks to Broad. And Wokes in the second innings.
Not required. That's our rating. Let us know what you think about that. Were we fair? Were we too harsh? What would your rating have been? Let us know in the comments. So just looking back at the series, Gaurav, who do you think were from each team your one player of the series? And compared to what we had predicted in our preview.
So I guess the players I had predicted in our overall series preview was from England. I had said Jofra Archer, and from West Indies I had said Shai, who both had miserable series by their standards. So I was clearly rubbish at that.
Archer had a good first Test match. He had one good spell.
Yeah, good, decent first Test match. I would say. Obviously, he got dropped in the second Test match for for his breaching biosecurity protocol. But looking back in hindsight, for me from West Indies, I think Roston Chase had the most amount of impact. I mean, overall.
As I had predicted.
Yeah, as you had predicted, obviously. If you look back at the first Test match, you would say maybe Holder Gabriel had more of an impact, but he was their most consistent player when it comes to batting and bowling. So I would say Roston Chase, player of the series from West Indies. From England, it's a tough one between Stokes and Broad, but I will go with Stokes just because of the turnaround he had from the first Test match and how harshly we rated him at the end of the match. Clearly, something spurred him on. The second one, he just had. I think this could have been the Test match of his career. the
Yeah.
highlight of his career in terms of an overall test match. Obviously that 135 at Headingley against Australia was a
Yeah.
once in a lifetime innings, but overall as a test match, to show so many facets, he
Yeah.
batted slow in the first innings. He scored lots of runs at a good clip in the second innings, opened the batting as well, bowled incredibly well. So I think
Yeah.
I'd say Stokes would be my player of the series from England. How about you?
Yeah. I mean, I'd predicted Burns and Chase. Burns was pretty much a failure till the last test match, but came back just in time for the Pakistan series, of
Yeah,
course. And Chase, I think he had a good series. I think for the West Indies, I think it's Chase for the reasons you already mentioned.
yeah,
I'd go with Broad for England just because of the impact he's had. I mean, you could see how their bowling has changed.
yeah,
Didn't get a lot of wickets in the first test match, but they were crucial wickets, in the top order.
yeah.
And then obviously you saw his performance in the second, in the third test match. Phenomenal. So I think rightly, even though he missed out
Yeah.
the first test, I think rightly so he was officially named man of the series.
Phil Simmons obviously, said that Broad was player of series
Yeah,
from an England perspective, and I kind of agree. I mean, in the second Test match as well,
yeah,
obviously Stokes did amazingly well, but if Broad hadn't taken those 3 wickets in that evening spell, I
yeah,
think it was on day 3 or day 4, England wouldn't have had the chance to come back, bowl West Indies out again. So,
yeah.
I think that's a fair shout to say Broad, Broad was player of the series. I think both equally deserve to be player of the series for England, Stokes and Broad.
So that's our review of the match and the series. What do you think about our ratings? Do you think we were too harsh or too generous? What do you think about our man of the series and our predictions? I hope you put money on my predictions, which I said West Indies will win the first one and England will come back to win both the second and the third to win 2-1. But if you didn't, wait for this weekend. We're going to make a prediction for the England-Pakistan series.
Yeah,
And this time, you better put money on it.
yeah. Not on me, man. Not on me. Player of the series as well. You got it more accurate than I did. So, focus on what Zayed is telling you. He's your money man.
I am indeed. And also on that note, remember that we did our 2027 team. So if you want to think long term investments, maybe that's your
The team of the tournament after the ICC World Cup in 2027, the ODI team. So check.
just a disclaimer, please. We're not betting experts here, but
Yeah,
we're
yeah,
just cricket experts. So
exactly. Well, not cricket experts, armchair cricket experts.
name me who else got these predictions wrong. Correct,
Correct.
100%.
Yeah, that's true actually. If you keep that going, then we can become betting experts as well,
Let's
and
see.
full-fledged cricket experts.
Okay, cool. Thanks for watching, everyone.
Thank you.